Welcome to OM Report by Andre Alpar, your interview-focused podcast on topics from online marketing to internet startups.
So today's OM Report is with Dennis. Dennis, please introduce yourself and try to explain a little bit of what you do.
So Dennis Goedegebuure used to be the director of SEO at eBay. Now I'm vice president of internet marketing at Geeknet. I'm responsible for traffic on the sites like Slashdot and SourceForge. And I'm mainly focusing on SEO, but I'm branching out into content marketing and PR and social media optimization just to drive a lot of traffic.
When you look at those buzzwords, like what is the kind of the higher aggregation of topics? So is it like, would you say that PR and SEO are a part of content marketing, or what do you really concern yourself, or what is a part of what and how in your logic? So
in my logic, I'm looking at drive a PR angle, like a hook. In the content, so the content needs to be around a certain topic. So let me give you an example. We did an infographic and a story on a Slashdot vertical for cloud computing, and we looked at it's becoming hurricane season right now. Hurricanes becoming much more powerful because of the heating of the earth. So the clouds of the hurricanes become much bigger, but also our cloud environment are becoming much bigger. So what is the impact of hurricanes destroying a data center in North Carolina or Virginia for cloud computing? Oh. So that's a nice angle with the weather.
That's right. So you catch on the hurricane season, but then again, your topic is something totally different.
Yeah, so, there was a data center from I think it was Amazon that went down a couple of months ago due to severe weather. So Instagram was down, Reddit was down, a couple of other big sites were down. And that was all because of the weather. Okay. So if you see that more sites are becoming dependent on larger cloud environments, larger hurricanes coming by, what's the impact on the internet?
It's interesting because they move to the cloud because they kind of want to be away from the danger of being taken down.
Well, obviously you have redundant server capacity in different locations, so it's very rare that a whole cloud or a whole site would go down, but it happens.
So you moved from a transaction-based business to a publishing business. Yeah. What do you, for your work, what's the biggest difference?
The biggest difference is that we're just focusing on driving traffic, and we monetize on a number of ways, like just normal display advertising, lead generation models, marketing services. So the majority of the money that we're making with the sites are page view driven.
But is there an impact on SEO if it's a transaction-based business like eBay that you did before?
Yes. So at eBay we were much more focused on the ROI on the traffic that we were generating and how that compares to the search volume that is out in the market. So sometimes you focus on something that is really cheap, but there's a lot of volume in the market, and the conversion rate then brings you more revenue. At a media model, you just don't care what kind of page views, as long as there are page views flowing. With a little nuance in the lead gen model, because you want to have qualified leads for the companies that are buying those leads. So that's where it's a little bit similar to the transaction model.
How about budgets? Isn't it typical that a transaction-based business is willing to invest a lot more than SEO rather than a publishing business?
So when I came to Geeknet, the CEO of Geeknet Media, which had just been sold last week, so I'm still talking about Geeknet, but we're part of Dice Holding now. The CEO also came from eBay, so he got me over there, and he knew what I could do.
Working with you at eBay as well?
I wasn't working with him directly, but with his team. Okay. They built a large infrastructure project for me in the past, and he knew me, and we had several meetings, and so he got like, okay, Dennis, do SEO here, and nothing was done on SEO for SourceForge or Slashdot.
It's amazing because they're like really, really old and strong sites.
Yes, and all natural backlink profiles.
And you work in the US, but you're from the Netherlands or from Belgium?
Yes, from the Netherlands. Yes, okay. I started in eBay Netherlands. and then moved over to the US in 2006.
So did you start in eBay Netherlands as an SEO or something else?
No. I started in 2002, just internet marketing. So I did affiliates, I did portals, like large portal deals, paid search, and then I started doing SEO.
How come you went for SEO instead of the other channels?
I was bored with all the negotiations. Every month you had a renegotiation with a portal. Affiliates somebody else was picking up, so I wanted to do something completely different. And at that point, something almost new at eBay, because at eBay they didn't do SEO for a long time. Until 2002 they started to look at it, which was like, that's crazy, but they had so much type-in traffic, so like everybody was coming to eBay, and then they started to see the other competitors in the search engines.
Okay.
So
you have quite an analytical and technical approach. How come? What are you from a background? Are you an engineer or are you a marketing person?
I'm a marketing person. I studied economics with finance and marketing as specialties. But working at eBay, you get used to working with large data sets, and I cannot work with them myself so much. I always have people for it, but I get the ideas what can be done with the data from a very high theoretical level,
and then they help you figure out how to really crunch the data.
Yeah, exactly.
That's quite amazing, because I think there's in many SEOs' everyday lives, they don't have so much data, so they don't need such sophisticated and data-driven approaches.
Yes, exactly.
It's pretty amazing. I think the problems and also the opportunities are pretty unique at what you've done at eBay and also Slashdot. So how do you see the I would guess that the big updates that happen every now and then over at Google, they shouldn't have a really positive effect on a publishing website. Is that correct, or am I guessing?
Especially our publishing website, because we don't have a low quality content problem or a low quality link profile. So I was so happy with all the updates, because I see my traffic growing and growing.
On each update of Penguin and Panda, you open up champagne bottles?
I wish. I wish it was like it's the Oktoberfest there. No, not that big updates.
Okay, so what other changes do you see in the SEO industry in the last year or so? Do you see anything that's noteworthy?
Yes, what I see very strong, and we talked about it here already, where the Google Plus network is being used as an identity layer, and it's been called out already a couple of times. So it's nothing that I come up with. I just see it being published by Google or said in a panel, and then you pick up something, and then you see them coming up with author rank or the rel equals author, and you see sites go up in rankings where they have more authoritative authors. So I see SEO going somewhere where not only brand is more important, but for especially publishers, make your editors front and center of the editorial pieces, so that they get their own following and their authority, and then you will get a lot of the SEO from it.
Okay, so here's a scenario. Let's say there is a great writer, and he also has some kind of, let's say, social followers, and he becomes an editor at one of your websites. Let's say, for example, Slashdot. And then he gains a lot of popularity, and basically you help build that author's, let's say, personal brand. And then he goes. What happens?
That's part of the business risk that you have in every business.
So it seems that the editor...
I left eBay.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
It's correct. That's correct. Sure. But then again, it seems that it's kind of a mutual win-win situation, because you gain more. The articles of that author within Slashdot may rank better because of his authority, and you pay into his total authority.
And here's a little trick that you can do. Use the Google App Engine and switch on the Google Plus profiles for Google App Engine, because that is on your domain then, so they cannot take those circles with them.
Oh, that I didn't know. That's quite a nice thing. Oh, pretty nice. So what's your everyday life look like? Do you analyze a lot? Do you communicate with management, or do you talk to techies to So they implement your stuff. What is kind of the share of activities in your life?
So I made some pretty drastic changes just recently. I wrote a blog post because I was finding out that I wasn't getting all the things done that I wanted, just because I spent too much time on social media. So right now...
You yourself spend too much time on social media?
Yeah.
Reading or writing?
Interacting with the people in my network.
Okay.
So a lot of DMs on Twitter that go around, a lot of things under the table that's being talked about, and it's great. But if you spend too much time and not focusing on what you need to get done, then you have a problem. So I identified that, and now what I do is I have a very strict protocol. Every evening I set up 5 things that I need to get done. I do those first, before I open up email, before I open up Twitter.
On the next day?
On the next day.
Okay.
So you have the 5 things already done, so you don't have to think about anymore in the morning what you need to get done.
Okay.
Then, after I did the 5 things, you're actually done with your work before lunch, and then you can do creative thinking and interacting. And because I'm on the west coast of the US, Europe is still awake, and they're in the evening on the couch, so they respond. East Coast is at work, but they're already further along in the day. And West Coast, you still have them. So nice. You can respond on something that has happened, and you can interact with people, and you still get everything done.
Okay. So which conference do you go to in the US? Which are the ones that you could recommend?
Blue Glass. I've been to all of them except for the first one.
As a speaker?
Yes.
Okay.
So they just sold out their Tampa in December, Blue Glass X. Very high quality speakers, very intimate sessions.
How many people come?
It's, I think, 150 speakers included. But it's the way a conference is, like you only have one track.
Yes.
Everybody sees the same presentations, and that's why you interact a lot with each other during the lunches and dinners.
Yes.
I go to a lot of the SMX conferences as well. So SMX West I was speaking, SMX Advanced I was in Seattle.
So what do you do at a conference? Do you usually listen to the other speakers' panels, or are you mostly like chatting in the rooms right in front of both?
Both. I always make it a priority to meet new people.
Okay. So how do you do that on a conference? Do you just start chatting to them, or do they come to you because you're a speaker anyway?
Well, sometimes I'm just going to sit at a table of people that I don't know yet.
That's a good habit, I think.
Because otherwise you're going in your own circle all the time,
yes.
Which is great because you're friends and you see each other and you learn from each other, but you still need to get to know new people, especially people that are not a speaker.
Yes.
It makes the conference more enjoyable for everybody, and you might know the next big brains in SEO.
Okay, that's nice. Thanks a lot for the interview, Dennis.
Okay, nice.
OMReport and Andre Alpar would like to thank you for your attention. You can get more episodes on www.OMReport.com.